Really happy to be here, despite the actual topic of today. Really happy to talk to real people again, instead of looking at icons and profile pictures, outdated profile pictures even. I'm going to start off with a personal story here. This is me, on the left here. This guy actually has nothing to do with today. He's the guy who posted the picture on Facebook. And on the right there is Mr. De Putter. And he used to be my Dutch teacher. I hope he's still alive. And he actually made my life into a living hell a few weeks that year. Because not only did he ask us to read 2 books, which is still 2 more than I actually wanted to read back then, because I hated reading books. But the worst part is that he actually asked us to come and present the book in front of the class. So just get in front, no slides, no piece of paper you can read from, just tell about the book in 5 minutes. And if I would get 5 minutes now, I would push for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Back then, 5 minutes was like, yeah, eternity. Because I was shy, I had absolutely no idea how to talk to a group of people. And my tactic was to just write everything down, every sentence, every word, memorize that, and just ramble that in front of the class. No need to tell you that it obviously failed. So that was that. Fast forward many years later, I became a UX designer. I got my first briefing, my first assignment, and I worked out some stuff. And then there was this day I had to actually go to present the stuff to my client. It was my real client-facing meeting I had to lead. Yeah, it was my first assignment, so the scope was rather small. It was also reflected in the size of the meeting room. But you would think that me being grown up, like 10 years later, I will be able to cope with it a bit better, but no. Because I had no idea how to explain my story. I had no idea how to explain what I did. So after a few embarrassing minutes later, my PM, he took over, and he actually did all the explaining. So he actually explained all the reasoning why I did certain stuff. And at the end, the customer was really happy because he approved everything. And yeah, that was that. So it ended really well, but I'm like 100% certain that if I had to do the explanation, we probably would have needed a few more rounds of feedback and so on and so on. And that was actually the moment that I realized that, yeah, I really had to learn to present to get over my anxiety, because otherwise all the solutions and ideas I would have absolutely no value. If I wouldn't be able to convince people of it, yeah, it would really be totally useless. Fast forward yet another number of years, which is actually today. I'm not going to get into detail about what I've done, but what matters for today is that I've done a lot of presentations during the years, worked for a lot of clients, presented to PMs, management, CEOs, and so on. And currently I lead the UX team at Belfius. So I do less project work in comparison to my agency days, but I still have to give my share of presentations to ask for budgets, to get Figma approved, to get a budget for design system. So yeah, but those are all kind of things that I never would have imagined me doing like 10 years ago, when I couldn't even present one simple, stupid slide. So that's going to be my talk for today. I just want to share 4 learnings, tricks that I've learned and gathered throughout the years, just to cope with the stress and to better prepare yourself for presentations, especially for beginning speakers. Because in my daily life, work life, when I see some of my Belfius colleagues present, I can really feel the stress in their voice, or when I have to interview design profiles. Yeah, they have like great profiles, but they really have issues presenting themselves. So I really feel for them, because I can really feel their pain. So yeah, hopefully with today I can inspire some few people and help them. So let's get started. One of the first piece of advice that people give you when you say you have presentation anxiety is, you have to imagine your audience being naked or semi-naked. But to me, and probably for most of you, if all of you would be sitting here like this, I wouldn't really feel comfortable. I would probably run away or something. So that didn't really help. What did help, though, was this idea. And I actually looked for the source of this, but I couldn't find it, so maybe I just made it up myself, I don't know. Either way, unless you're a superhero or a supervillain, and you really have an arch enemy sitting in the crowd, waiting with a knife to attack you if you make a mistake, there's really nobody in the audience who is waiting or hoping you to fail. Yeah, they're all sitting there because you have something interesting to say, or they were waiting for a project update, or they want to be inspired, or anything else, which makes the only person who's afraid that you might fail is you. Yeah? And what you do is something that you can control 100%. By preparing, by knowing your topic, by having a presentation ready, it's 100% controllable. And it's really that idea that kind of created a mind switch in my head to realize that if I put enough effort in it, I would be able to become better and to really get a certain level of speaking skills that was required. Yeah, I already told this. So really the first takeaway would be to really focus on yourself. Don't mind the probably non-existing negative thoughts that the audience might have about you. Really focus on your own game and you will be okay. Okay? If I think about great speakers, I immediately have to think about Barack Obama, especially the inauguration speech he gave in 2009, the Yes We Can speech that everyone knows probably. I really like that. Another classic, Steve Jobs in 2007, the iPhone launch speech. And I also like all the stuff that Simon Sinek gives. I mean, really inspiring stuff. But what do all these people have in common? Yeah, they're like the best of the best. They're like the Lionel Messis of speakers. So if you try to compare yourself to them, or as a beginning speaker, hoping that within a certain amount of time you will get to that level, it's like hoping that within 3 months I want to be as good as Lionel Messi. It's probably not going to happen, and it's probably not even going to happen like ever, you know. Because we're talking about the President of the United States, the CEO of one of the largest companies in the world, and a bunch of TED speakers. So you have all of them up here, and then you have a bunch of great speakers, excellent speakers, regular speakers, and then you have a bunch of average speakers, and somewhere near the bottom of that group of average speakers is me, you know, because you have probably a few slides under. But the point is, I don't mind being an average speaker, because I already accepted a long time ago I will never be a real inspiring speaker or a charismatic speaker like one of those TED speakers. And I have absolutely no ambition to speak at events, this one being an exception. But the point is that speaking and presenting for me is just one of the skills I need to do my job. Yeah. And I have lots of other tasks, and most of them I'm much better at than presenting. And probably that goes for most of you. I don't think we have like professional speakers in here. Anyone? No? Okay. So as long as I get my things done with my presenting skills, I'm more than happy with the current skills I have. So the takeaway here would be not to try to be a super speaker. Don't put that pressure on you, especially in the beginning. Don't try to compare yourself to the best of the best, or even to colleagues who might you feel are better than you, because they probably have more experience than you, or they have a different personality which enables them to speak in a certain way. So yeah, just create your own style and practice, and that will come. And the real takeaway really here is that sometimes it's really okay to be okay. That being said, even to become an average speaker, you need to practice, obviously. If you get in this loop of I'm not good at public speaking, so I don't do it, that's why I don't practice, so I won't become better. Yeah, if you get stuck in that loop, you have an issue. That was kind of the loop while I was in when I was younger. And some of you are really born speakers. I think I forgot your name, but I think you're a very comfortable speaker.
No,
yeah?
No?
Well, either way, it was good. And yeah, we have like born musicians and born football players, but most of us really had to put effort into becoming a good speaker. You know, nobody really, well, most of us aren't born with that skill. And if you look at like that, speaking is really like a skill like any other. I mean, just knowing the theory isn't good enough. You really need to gain experience to become better and to really control that anxiety that you feel. And stress isn't necessarily bad. I think stress, I'm also stressed right now, but I think I'm able to control it. But it's that stress that will cause you to make really silly mistakes that you know you shouldn't be making. You know, you start speaking too fast, which is something that I really tended to do a lot in my earlier days. Some people start speaking too much. They keep on rambling on a certain slide, while in fact you should have been at slide 20 and you only have 2 minutes left. Or you start forgetting things. The silence of hell, you know, terrible. I think everyone recognizes that. Or another classic, back talk, like this, and you just forget facing the audience. Or even one of the worst parts that might happen is that, you just get physical issues. All your muscles start to tense up, and you are physically not able to speak in a decent way, which again will cause you more stress, and all hell breaks loose. About the last thing, actually, I went to a speaking coach for that. In Dutch, it's a logopedist, and they can give you like breathing exercises and relaxation exercises for jaw and stuff like that. And I can't really remember the exercise anymore, to be honest, because I don't do them anymore. But I can really remember that in my earlier days, I did them in the car when I was driving to a client and preparing, just do the exercise, and it really helps. So if that's something that you're struggling with, just go to a logopedist and they will be able to help you. But either way, the takeaway here would be really to grasp every speaking opportunity that you can get. Now, really practice, 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 because it's the only way you will be able to control that anxiety by gaining experience. So if you have a manager that is looking for someone for a lunch talk, just volunteer. You know? If you have a topic you'd like to share to one of your colleagues, just do it. Or one of these events, if you feel like you want something to share, you have something to share, just contact any one of the others and just get up here, you know. And it's really a good, it's probably one of the safest environments that you can find to really practice, and you will probably make mistakes and get into embarrassing situations, but you will learn from it and you will eventually become really better, okay? I'll just have a drink here because I already had to speak a lot today. Number 4 is about being prepared. Confidence comes from being prepared, and I think it really applies to public speaking as well. And these are things, I actually had a lot of stuff prepared here, but when I was rehearsing, I was already at minute 30 or something, I had to skip some stuff. But these are still things that I do even today. To really prepare, and if I don't do this, I really find myself having issues still today as well. So first of all, this sounds like a very obvious one, but I don't think everyone actually does this, and that's rehearse. You know, we really need to say your presentation out loud a few times, either in front of a mirror, or your cat, or your wife, or whoever that you can find, and really say it out loud. It's really the only way you will be able to find like gaps in your presentation, or some slides are too long, or if you have too few slides or too many slides or whatever. And you can't find that by just sitting in front of your laptop and going through your slides in your head. It's completely something different. So really practice up front, and it's really a matter of finding those mistakes up front or either during your live presentation. The choice is up to you. Related to that, if you have no time to prepare your presentation and you have to pick like a certain part you want to rehearse, let it be that first minute. And that's quite logical, because if you can kick off your presentation in a good way, it will give you confidence to get on going. Whereas if you start making a mistake after 10 seconds and another one after 45 seconds and you still have 30 minutes left, it might have an impact on your confidence level. So really visualize you standing there, really know what you're going to say in that first minute, and you will feel that it will make a huge difference, okay? And this is still something that I do. Maybe I don't really need it anymore, but it's like Yeah, it's like something that I'm obsessed with, to be honest. So I still do that, but it really helps. And the last thing is getting familiar with your venue and your meeting room. So imagine that. Is it somewhere you recognize? Or?
No, it's always my stress.
Okay.
Something that's not working, and then
Yeah.
stressed.
Yeah. So yeah, imagine that you arrive at the meeting room like 1 minute up front, and you see like this huge room, and you're like completely impressed. It will have an impact on your presentation, especially in the beginning if you don't feel very comfortable yet. So what I always do is to scout ahead. Yeah, just go visit the meeting room up front, just sit there for a while and just look around and get familiar with the location. And if that's not possible, then in the case of agency people here, just ask your client that he or she books the meeting room like 20 minutes in advance. You can take care of all the practical stuff, but also just sit there and have a drink, look around, and it's yet another thing that you don't need to worry about during the actual presentation. Right, so yeah, takeaway here is just be prepared. Take the time for it because it's really worth it. I'm just going to go to the 4 stuff that we talked about today. Focus on yourself. Really don't focus on the audience, really focus on yourself, your own game. Don't try to be a super speaker. Don't put that pressure on you. Practice, practice, practice. I mean, it's the only way you will be able to cope with the anxiety that you feel. And the last one we just talked about, take time to prepare. And to really conclude, yeah, I really hope that we can see some first-time speakers in one of the next meetups. And if I was able to inspire or help even one person, I would be a really happy guy. So thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much for speaking. By the way, with a little bit of a switcheroo, I'll be doing the Q&A, not Annie. Upgrade, downgrade, I'll leave that to you. No, thank you so much for speaking. Yeah, I think you embody what UX Antwerp stands for. We try to be that non-judgment, almost tryout zone. We've had people dry run talks that they were going to give at big conferences. So if anyone is enlisted somewhere, reach out. No, but yeah, absolutely. If you want to have a talk at UXBS, you stress out in front, but usually when you're done, you go, oh, I did it. And then it feels really good. That's what everyone keeps telling me.
Yeah, I can confirm that.
Yeah, everyone who's ever done a talk on UXBS can confirm that feeling. So with that, I suggest we move into Q&A. It's going to be one of those weird ones where we throw the mic around and we call it the fluffy boy. Yes, well, they are pretty cute and fluffy. So any questions, Florian? I'm going to pass the mic.
So I was wondering, with regards to the whole Corona thing and given online presentations, did you feel more or less anxiety?
Well, actually, to me, I felt less anxiety because, yeah, the stress, the thing that stressed me out is people sitting in front of me. And when I was speaking online, it's, yeah, you're just looking at icons and stuff like that. So to me, it was, yeah, I felt less stress. But I actually had a course today about speaking, and there were some people who actually said they felt more stress. So I think it's really person related.
I felt less stress, but I didn't feel the relief afterwards. Because you're just talking to your computer, then you get a couple of questions, still talking to your computer, then it's done, and you're just you're in your living room, so and nothing changed.
I sent a few Slack messages. Well done, well done.
So did you get that as well? It's like there's no peak of stress, but there's no peak of relief.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But what I do see, though, is that some people, because you see that you get much less feedback when you talk online, and I see sometimes that people, well, the presenters get stressed by that. They're thinking like, am I saying something wrong, or anything like that? But no,
Sleeping or is everybody? Am I presenting sometimes? Am I sharing my screen or?
Yeah, well, I think it's. I think.
I've asked that.
Yes.
Am I muted or am I just not handling this well?
Maybe at that time we need to see if they react. Like maybe to.
Yeah. But the worst is when you don't see anybody. If it's like Google Meet and the browser is, you don't
put their cameras.
Yeah, but they don't put the cameras. You just there's nothing. Not even like Google Meet doesn't even tell you you're recording your screen. It's just nothing. You're just staring at your own slides. Thanks.
Any other? Yes, I'm gonna make my round.
There's no difficult questions, huh?
I sometimes have a problem when people are stop focusing on you. Like they start fidgeting around, or they start looking at other stuff, or they start looking at their emails or something, and that bothers me more than when they're just paying attention, or it looks like they're listening. So how do you
Like you're like in a small meeting, or like in this setting here?
I guess in a smaller meeting, or when you're talking to a client, you're presenting to a client, and like some people are not paying attention anymore. It doesn't happen that often, but
I usually just ignore those people, just keep on going. And I know it's sometimes hard because you think that you think what you're saying isn't interesting, but it's more their issue that they're not following what you're saying. And most of the time there is at least someone who is really following and who actually does matter. So I would say just keep on going, just not really ignore them, but don't let that affect your confidence to keep on going.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, thanks.
And I saw another question. I need to like get one of those sticks that I can use.
This is not for throwing around anyway. I mean.
Yeah, we're not throwing that.
Okay.
We're not doing that.
So my question is, if you think that a good speaker can get away with really bad content, and the opposite, like a very bad speaker can save it by having very good content.
Do I confirm what? Is that a question or is it?
Yeah, it's a question. I mean, do you think it's possible for both these scenarios? Like, imagine a very good speaker, but with a very bad idea to pitch.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah.
Can he get away with a bad idea because he's a good speaker?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And the opposite as well?
The opposite as well. Yeah. I think I'm actually one of those people. I'm not really good at speaking. I'm not actually good at speaking. I'm really good at building up a story and like explaining stuff in a very logical way, even to clients who don't know anything about a certain topic. So to me, really the slides and the story are have much more impact on the result than my actually speaking skills. That's how I feel.
Thanks.
But yeah, obviously, salespeople, obviously, like very good in.
And we have another question right here.
So, do you want to know up front what kind of audience you will be talking to, or kind of the amount, or if you're going to talk to, let's say, an executive board of senior management or peers in your design team? Does that impact the way you address your tone of voice or your kind of character or your style?
Yeah, it doesn't really impact my. Well, obviously, you have to look at the knowledge level of people and so on, but the types of people don't really affect me. In a way that I really try to do my homework in before, because I really hate speaking to anonymous people, even in small meeting rooms. So what I usually do is just ask around who those people are, and if that's not possible, just Google a bit, and you will find that these people are just regular people. You will end up on their Facebook. Don't stalk them or anything like that. But you'll find that they like to travel or whatever, and for me it's easier to speak to Jeroen or Nora or whoever than speaking to an anonymous VP or whatever. So just humanizing that person really helps for me to have less anxiety about that. Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Anything from the chat? Quick check.
There's Annelies asking a question.
Wait. So we do have a question from the chat, which is, what if you get anxious because you're afraid of judgment? Which is something I struggle with when I present my designs.
Yeah, again, I think, maybe to me it's easier because I'm Japanese, I'm like a robot, people say to me. So, I would really have the confidence to not think about that. I mean, you're the designer, you are the one who should know best. So really have the confidence to try to convince people about that. So I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, if you start thinking about, those people are thinking, it's actually the first point that I made. Just really focus on yourself, and probably those people don't even think in a negative way like that about you, if you would ask them. So.
Yeah, and
maybe also the second thing, don't try to be a super designer. Of course, you can make mistakes. You can take feedback. It's not judgment. It can also be just feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a personal addition to that, just make sure that your designs are always seen by 2 or 3 other people. It will boost up your confidence to then go to the client and say like, well, it's not just me. There's in your mind, there's 2 other designers that have also validated what you did, and therefore, yeah.
Not always.
Any other? Yeah, maybe one final one.
Thanks. Well, you spoke about how to speak to people, and you did that really well because the focus was always on you, but you also had your slides. Do you maybe have any tips on what to put on slides and what not to put on there? Because it might.
I have really one good tip, and that's YouTube. I mean, I looked. Actually. I'm a designer, so I'm really good at making visual stuff, but you get a lot of stuff on YouTube. I find a lot of stuff, a lot of tips. I also look at a lot of, actually I said don't look at those good people, but actually you need to look at them just to steal stuff. Don't compare to them, but just really steal the good stuff. And I actually forgot your question.
I wanted to know what your tips were on the slides to keep the focus on you and don't have your public be distracted by what's on your slides.
That's mainly not to put a lot of text on your slides, no matter who you're speaking to, because at Belfius I see that a lot of people put like, I don't know, they're like full of text and you can't read them anyway. It's like really terrible stuff. I think nobody from Belfius actually recently following, but even to those kind of people, just stick to your own principles, and that's really to don't put a lot of text. Always put the message that you would like to tell on your slides right away. Don't put like some general title like these are the findings or something like that. Immediately put this is a finding. Again, all of the stuff is really on YouTube. So I would really advise you to just check YouTube and.
Yeah, I think personally I can add to that. Slides support the story, not the other way around. And a good story starts on Post-its or in a Word document, not in PowerPoint or Keynote.
Exactly.
Build your story, then build your slides.
I actually do mine in MindNote. It's like it's a tool I've been using like the past 10 years for everything actually. It costs like, I don't know, $20 or something. I can actually show you if you want. Does anyone know MindNote? 5 tips
from Katsu.
And it's actually a tip from one of the strategy guys at Wonderwall. It's really a simple mind map tool actually. Miro does something similar, but this actually works really good. And it's actually the only thing that it actually does, but you just can create your mind map and your story in here and actually use this to rehearse the first time. I don't even make slides, and if I'm not able to explain my story using this, it probably means that my story isn't correct. But it's actually the only thing this does, just creating mind maps.
Do you have one for this presentation?
Yeah, I think so, somewhere.
And are you willing to share it?
It looks like this. I think I still changed some stuff around, but I think in general it should be, most of the stuff I told is in here. Yeah, it really helps you focus on the message instead of like messing around with slides that really don't matter at this point. Really focus on the message first, and yeah.
All right. I guess we're gonna round it off here. Once again, thank you so much for speaking. I think a round of applause. And with that, I want to thank everyone for coming, also those online. Hi. Our next event is going to be March 29th. The goal is still to do it in hybrid again. We do not have a host just yet, so if you're an agency and you're like, wow, this was really cool, I want to do this, reach out to us. And with that, good night, everyone, and see you next time.
And there are still some drinks.
Oh yeah, have drinks.
We're not closed yet.